Jealousy. We all feel it, have felt it, have grappled with it, and know that it's toxic. There are arguments about whether anger is a useful emotion. The Stoics say no, never, while many other philosophers say, well, sometimes. Jealousy, however, is very rarely considered in a positive light at all. Hence, when we feel jealousy, it's not usually because we want to feel it. It feels outside of our control, so we just sit in it or stew in it. But is it really outside of our control, or can we alleviate this toxic feeling? Oxford Languages defines jealousy as feeling or showing envy of someone or their achievements and advantages. It's when we look at someone who perhaps has something that we want, and we feel like we are the ones that should be having that thing. There are some different scenarios, let's say, within the jealousy realm. There are situations where you are simply being jealous for no reason at all. For example, your neighbor pulls into his driveway with the newest Tesla, and even though you could afford it, you feel envious. Perhaps you even go out and buy a slightly more expensive car, which you wouldn't have done had your neighbor not been, in your mind, showing off. Right there is a clear example of how we rationalize poor actions. We place the blame on others. We think that if they had not done what they did, then you would not have done what you did. This is a lie, of course, but it shows how we justify toxic behavior. There are also instances of jealousy where you are envious of what someone else has because you feel you've done the work to deserve it. Take, for example, a job promotion. If you've been busting your ass for months trying to impress your boss, yet when promotion time comes, your boss barely even considers you for the role, but rather gives it to your coworker, you may just get a little envious. This category of jealousy could be broken down even further. You could be self-aware in your self-analysis, or entirely oblivious. In other words, perhaps you really do deserve that promotion in the sense that your performance is objectively better, or maybe you are not as good of an employee as you think you are. Maybe you lack self-awareness. Finally, let's point out how broad jealousy can be. Here's a list of different areas in life that we can find ourselves being jealous about. A friend's wonderful, sexy partner. How our boss treats one of our coworkers. The height of someone else. The skills of someone else. The strength-building genetics of someone else. Someone's hairstyle. You get the point. There are endless reasons for us to be jealous. The examples in that list are all superficial. But what about jealousy of character? That's an intriguing one. People can and do get jealous about other people's character. I wish I was as disciplined as that guy. I would do anything to be as kind as that gal. As I hope is evident when we start breaking down jealousy, it's clear that there are literally an infinite number of reasons for us to feel that toxic feeling towards someone else, and none of them are good. Some may say that jealousy is a good motivator, that it pushes them to achieve greater things. I wouldn't disagree with that, actually. But I would disagree is that it's a stoic motivator. Sure, you can use jealousy to achieve better things, but when you are feeling jealousy all of the time, are you really fulfilled if you're feeling jealousy all of the time? We know what jealousy is, and we know that it can manifest itself in odd and inconspicuous ways. How do we manage it? First, let's consider what is worth chasing versus what is not worth chasing. What is worth chasing in Stoicism? Say it with me, good people. A good character. Therefore, we can easily rule out the vast majority of the things that we get jealous over. Are you jealous over someone's 6'2" stature? Well, that's not a reflection of anyone's character. Maybe that 6'2" person is the most selfish, rude person in the world. Would you trade that height for a terrible character? And remember, if you are leaning into Stoic philosophy, you better believe that character is the only way to find fulfillment in life. So that 6'2" person, yeah, they may be tall, but if they have a terrible character, they will be miserable. Would you rather be short or miserable? What we own is also not a reflection of our character. That car that your neighbor just pulled up in, that doesn't mean anything. It's an external. It's an indifferent. One's character does not correlate with one's possessions at all. Next, let's have a look at this through the lens of the dichotomy of control. What is up to you? Your character, we just spoke to that. What is not up to you? Other people, what they do, the situation they were born into, the situation that you were born into, your height, your strength-building genetics, the natural color of your hair, and many, many other things. So let's say that you are a teenager and you feel envious of your friend because his family is wealthy and your family is not. Is that within your control at all? Sure, you play a little role. Perhaps you could get a job and help your family out, for example. But really, the wealth of our family when we are that young is mostly outside of our control, and so it's an indifferent. It's also not a character attribute. I mentioned that you could get a job, and that's an important point to highlight. Let us keep our compass pointing towards a good character. At the same time, remember that Stoicism allows for preferred indifference. You may prefer wealth, but you must not allow yourself to be unhappy if you are not wealthy. What this means, though, is that you are allowed to work towards things and still be a Stoic. You can work towards wealth. However, you must never be under any delusion that wealth will be the thing that grants you happiness, because that is simply untrue. So the dichotomy of control as it comes to jealousy. Always be strong in your belief that virtue is the only good, but where you have preferred indifference, ensure that you understand that there are things up to you and things not up to you, and that you can only truly say, that's not up to me, after you've maximized your agency. To go back to a previous example, if you want that promotion, work your ass off, stay late, show up early, focus on quality and quantity of your work. But if you don't get that promotion, understand that you've done what you could and that what happened, happened. Stoic providence. What about this topic? Let's look at it through this lens. Everything happens for a reason. We must always keep in mind that we are a part of something much bigger than ourselves. What this means is that what happens in this crazy, wonderful world we live in is that which is best for the cosmos is not always best for us as individuals. Consider that you are made up of trillions of cells, each trying to stay alive. However, you as the greater whole will do what's best for you. That means that if your arm is pinned under a log in the river and the water is rising, you better cut that damn arm off. All of the cells that make up that arm must die so that you can go on. In a similar way, the things that happen to us in life, pleasant and unpleasant alike, are what's best for the greater whole and not what's best for you. Therefore, if you are growing up with a wealthy friend and you are poor, that very well could be the best thing for the cosmos. And what's best for the cosmos is ultimately what's best for you. We really have no way of knowing how things will turn out. Maybe you buy that fancy car because you're jealous of your neighbor's Tesla, and then because you bought that car, you speed down the road a bit too fast, and the person that just bought your old car off you, 2011 Honda Civic, is merging onto the highway, and you guys smack into each other. Whenever you hear yourself say or think, this is good, or this is bad, take a humble step back and tell yourself that we have no way of knowing what happens right now will affect the future. We have no way of knowing that. Let's get practical. We just view jealousy through 3 lenses: character, the dichotomy of control, and providence. Where does the rubber meet the road? Firstly, I hope you would agree with me that everything we talked about thus far is practical in nature. However, how I'd like to approach this final section is by considering how us having the thing we think we deserve would change anything at all in our lives. Let's look at the obvious example, money. My great-grandmother used to say that money is the root of all evil. She was wise beyond belief, and I may find her to be right later in life, but for now I would rephrase it. Perhaps greed is the root of all evil. Let's first make some assumptions. Let's assume that because you have a device by which you can listen to this podcast right now, you are currently not starving. Let's assume also that you have some protection from the elements, some shelter. In other words, let's assume that you have everything you need right now to be psychologically healthy. And I can't answer that for you, but you can. Really think, do I have everything I need right now to be psychologically healthy? And if the answer to that question is yes, then would having extra money do anything at all for you? You're already psychologically healthy. You already have everything you need inside of you to flourish. If you're going to eat today, regardless of how fancy the food is, beans and rice, or a steak, who cares? If you're going to eat anything, if you're going to sleep somewhere tonight, regardless of how comfy that mattress is, if you're going to interact with other people, regardless of how many and how kind and how angry, then what difference is an extra $1,000 or $10,000 or $100 million going to do for you? What does your day currently look like? If you have a regulated mood, you're probably getting up at roughly the same time every day. You probably go to work. You probably eat throughout the day. You hopefully get some exercise. You probably have some hobbies that you find fun. And you probably interact with other people throughout the day. If I were to send you 100 Bitcoin right now, would that change anything? If I were to send you 100 Bitcoin right now, would you be able to stop exercising? Would you be able to stop eating? Stop getting up at the same time? Stop working on your character? We lie to ourselves all the time. We tell ourselves that if only we had another $100,000, everything would be fine. But when it really gets down to it, how much would actually change in your day? If you are fulfilled to any capacity right now, it's not like having extra money is going to allow you to stop doing the things that fulfill you. And this detailed example of money applies to everything under the jealousy roof. Does owning a Tesla mean you can stop working on being more kind? Does getting a promotion mean that you can stop showing up early to work? Does becoming more kind mean that you can stop improving your overall character? Absolutely not. If you really think about it, what really matters in life, only we can give ourselves. So why be jealous of anything? Accept the piece of the pie that life gives you and eat it with grace. Even if your pie is filled with crab apples while your neighbor's is filled with organic, golden, delicious. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe with the notifications turned on. The Strong Stoic Podcast is also available in audio wherever you listen to your podcasts. Finally, you can join Substack to gain access to transcripts, articles, and premium podcast episodes.